Romantic loss can feel absolute when culture trains people to treat friendship as background scenery rather than life-giving love. This hierarchy raises the stakes of every breakup and leaves existing care invisible, even when support is already surrounding someone. Real relief starts when attention shifts from one wounded bond toward the wider circle, already offering steadiness and witness. Weekly rituals of yoga, cooking, reading, and meditation matter, yet the healing force comes from gathering with loving people. Adult friendship also feels hard because standard advice skips the frightening parts that actually stop people from reaching out. Fear of rejection, social anxiety, mistrust, and discomfort with closeness quietly turn simple suggestions into emotionally expensive tasks. Group therapy scenes make that mechanism visible because people replay their outside patterns inside a room full of strangers. One person rescues, another hides pain behind smiles, and another shrinks so much she almost disappears from view. Next, you will see how old wounds, initiative, vulnerability, authenticity, conflict, generosity, affection, and repeated care reshape belonging. Platonic by Marisa Franco shows why friendship deserves serious attention. Subscribe to the channel for grounded ideas that strengthen connection. Friendship issues often begin long before any current text thread, dinner plan, or awkward silence enters the picture. Early care teaches whether closeness feels safe, unreliable, or dangerous, and those templates continue to shape later relationships. Secure individuals usually assume they are worthy of love, while anxious and avoidant people prepare for potential abandonment. These differences change everything from asking for support to admitting fault, trusting warmth, and interpreting another person's motives. When people expect rejection, they often misinterpret silence as dislike, attention as pressure, or care as hidden strings. These interpretations feel objective in the moment, yet they are often old fears speaking through current relationships. Attachment is not frozen forever. Each new bond can soften or reinforce the expectations learned earlier. A caring friend, steady peer group, or repeated safe experiences can gradually revise what closeness seems to mean. Understanding these patterns matters because people cannot change friendship habits they still mistake for common sense. Once the hidden template becomes visible, friendship stops feeling like fate and starts feeling like something that can change. Friendship rarely appears out of nowhere, as closeness usually begins when someone accepts the discomfort of going first. That first move, though tiny, can break the cycle of passivity and prove that connection grows through action, not luck. Initiative might mean joining a group, asking a coworker for coffee, or reconnecting with an old friend. Technology can help, as even light exchanges can build enough trust for lunch, conversation, and deeper contact. An internal locus of control makes this easier by placing friendship in personal hands rather than distant forces. People stop waiting to be chosen and begin choosing, introducing themselves, following up, and naming their interest directly. A simple hallway hello once led to brief neighbour chatter, then exchange numbers, and eventually a weekly outdoor picnic. That change didn't require perfect charm, just enough courage to speak before self-doubt shut the door. Momentum grows when people keep showing up, where repeated contact can turn familiarity into comfort and comfort into care. Friendship starts moving when people decide that small bids for contact are worth the temporary risk of awkwardness. Vulnerability transforms friendship from a mere social courtesy into a genuine space where hidden pain can be acknowledged without jeopardizing belonging. Without this risk, people remain guarded, and guarded lives rarely offer the support that truly heals. Silence often feels safer than asking for help, especially during a crisis, because burdening others can feel unbearable. Yet silence can become the heavier burden, leaving friends shut out while distress grows louder in private. Vulnerability is not the same as oversharing, which tries to avoid rejection by dumping intimacy without enough safety. True vulnerability is deliberate, grounded, and responsive to trust, while oversharing is anxious, automatic, and defensive. Shame makes this distinction urgent because it fragments identity and convinces people their flaw has made them unhuman. When a secret is met with grace, the feared defect shrinks back into proportion, and personhood feels whole again. Support then becomes more than mere comfort, because acceptance frees people from guarding the unspeakable parts of themselves. Friendship deepens when people share what hurts carefully enough to be real, and safely enough to be received. Authenticity is not about blurted impulses, but about acting from awareness rather than from defenses built to prevent hurt. When people navigate through sarcasm, pleasing, performance, or meanness, the friend sees protection rather than the actual person. That is why false ease can feel lonely, as someone might be accepted, yet still feel fundamentally unseen. Authenticity asks what feeling lies beneath the reaction and what response honours both truth and the relationship. Jealousy, envy, fear, and sadness do not vanish just because someone wants to be kind and mature. They become workable only when named inwardly, so behaviour can be chosen with intention rather than compulsion. Mutuality matters here because closeness fails when one person expands everywhere and the other loses room to breathe. Real connection needs both honesty and separateness, enough openness to be known and enough space to remain distinct. Being yourself, therefore, means more than expression alone, as it also requires listening to impact, power, and timing. If this kind of steadier honesty helps you think about your own bonds, subscribe to the channel for practical ways to live it. Anger can quietly rot a friendship when it is buried, or scorch one when it erupts without reflection. The crucial difference lies in whether anger still carries hope that the bond can heal and become closer. Anger of hope names an unmet need and asks for change, while anger of despair tries to punish. That distinction transforms conflict from combat into a signal that something important needs attention before resentment settles in. Ignoring hurt may feel noble for a while, but withdrawal often starts shrinking contact long before either person notices. A conversation about irritation can therefore be more loving than months of smiling, while connection slowly thins out. One difficult talk about accumulated grievances ended not in attack, but in apology, tears, relief, and greater closeness. Healthier conflict skills also correlate with popularity, lower loneliness, and stronger relationship satisfaction across friendships. Dynamic safety grows through breakdown and repair, not through permanent coziness that pretends nothing is ever wrong. Friendship survives conflict best when people slow down, speak from need, and treat repair as part of intimacy. Generosity deepens friendship, but it can become harmful when driven by guilt, fear, or unspoken coercion. Healthy generosity feels warm and voluntary, as it flows within mutual commitment rather than constant self-sacrifice. People generally feel better helping close ties than weak ones, and care from close ties lands more deeply. Closeness makes generosity feel less like depletion, because another person's relief begins to matter almost like one's own. But generosity without boundaries can turn a phone into an endless emergency line, and care into quiet resentment. When helping demands secrecy, exhaustion, or panic, it is often pressure talking, rather than freely chosen love. Mutuality therefore asks people to scale expectations with the depth of the relationship, instead of demanding everything immediately. This protects new friendships from feeling like obligations and older friendships from becoming one-sided rescue missions. Saying no can preserve warmth when the alternative is dutiful overgiving that slowly pushes people farther apart. Generosity works best when both people can give freely, receive gratefully, and respect limits without guilt. Affection often remains hidden, yet friendship grows faster when people clearly express delight, value, and care. People invest back when they feel safe, and affection is one of the strongest ways to create that safety. Warm greetings, direct appreciation, excitement for good news, and simple praise all show someone they matter here. Without these signals, many friendships stall at politeness because both people wait for proof that deeper warmth is welcome. Hidden affection can also keep people behind walls while they complain that others are not trying hard enough. That stance ignores a basic truth. Other people protect themselves too and need reassurance. Affection fails when it ignores the receiver, but it works when love is expressed in forms they can absorb. Words, enthusiasm, gratitude, encouragement, and welcoming responses all help another person relax into greater openness and trust. Then, friendship stops depending on mind reading and starts being built through visible signs of care. People stay longer where appreciation is unmistakable because feeling cherished lowers the risk of closeness. Friendship endures through consistent care, not just inspiration, because a sense of belonging depends on ongoing contact that proves the bond is real. A single meaningful conversation can open a door, but it is the ongoing effort that keeps the room warm enough to return. Therefore, reaching out before relationships drift apart and showing up before crises make absence obvious is crucial. During the pandemic, simple walks with friends could restore warmth, joy, purpose, and the feeling of being alive. The effects of such care make friendship easy to underestimate until loneliness becomes painfully obvious, like a slow poison. Then, the invisible healer becomes visible, and a simple meeting can feel almost like being brought back to life. Repeated efforts matter because friendship often weakens through neglect, more than through dramatic betrayal or declared endings. Making friendship a part of one's identity changes behaviour, as good intentions turn into calendars, messages, and dependable presence. Care becomes a practice rather than a fleeting mood, and closeness becomes something maintained rather than nostalgically remembered. This shift prepares the final lesson, to stop treating friendship as an extra and start treating it as essential. Friendship transforms life by reshaping how people interpret themselves, others, stress, loss, and the possibility of belonging. Old wounds matter, yet they are not final when safer bonds teach initiative, openness, honesty, repair, generosity, and affection. Used together, these practices make closeness sturdier because each one addresses a different fear that keeps people apart. Initiative challenges passivity. Vulnerability softens shame. Authenticity reveals the real person, and anger clears what resentment hides. Generosity and affection then confirm that the bond matters, while repeated care keeps warmth from fading through neglect. Nothing here removes awkwardness or rejection, but it stops those experiences from deciding the entire story of connection. A simple place to begin is to choose one person, reach out, share honestly, and follow through again. That first cycle of contact and care can start revising expectations that once made closeness feel unsafe or futile. Over time, friendship stops looking secondary and starts looking like one of the main structures holding a life together. If you want that kind of life, subscribe to the channel for more ideas that turn care into durable friendship.